I think the real underlying problem is the amount of debt we became acquainted with and the amount of leverage that is allowed. With tiny little equity, you could move over the last 20 years enormous amounts of money.
Damn.
So you could do things which were out of your economic control and out of your economic reach.
So I would argue, no, that cheap money, to Vivian's point earlier, went into the wrong hands, was spent on the wrong things, and nobody stopped it, neither the governments nor the financial institutions. But it didn't necessarily fuel globalization directly in a positive way.
The cycle we're going through now is going to be so deep and so profound that it will bring with it structural change everywhere.
And it's also why what Obama is doing with regard to transparency in government, with regard to sort of keeping lobbyists away at arm's length going forward is going to be an incredibly important thing.
Just to give you an idea of how valuations have corrected, Royal Bank of Scotland paid $100 billion for ABN AMRO, right? For that amount of money, they could today buy Citibank, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, and still have $8 billion left over, which is enough to buy GM, Ford, Chrysler, and the Honda Formula One team.
It's extremely difficult to find out how far can a government go without destroying the system.
So I think that out of globalization, Europe has started to become much more solid, much more one voice, and much more credible, and a world leader and not a world follower.
I think one of the big threats that we are having today is that we go back to protectionism, because it looks for governments more easy to solve their problems at home by raising walls again and stopping free trade. And I very much and sincerely hope that that will not happen, because that will destroy value all over the world.
Do you all believe that we start expanding in 2 years? Raise your hands. Still a lot of pessimism going on here, dude.
Well, they might think it's one. During the depths of this depression, recession, whatever you want to call it, at least one company will get founded that will be at least as successful as Google.
But we have much left to do. As of today, all marine sanctuaries worldwide combined reflect less than 1% of our oceans. Scientists predict that we need to protect between 5 and 10% of the global waters.
What does it take to see through the eyes of a demon?
Better.
Courage or madness?
By 2013, most scientists believe that the sea ice in the Arctic could very likely be all but gone in the summer months. Today, Obama said that we have the enduring belief that we can constantly remake ourselves to fit our larger dream. Well, I believe that we all share that dream, and I believe that it's time for us to reclaim that dream, to get reconnected one person at a time, starting today. And with it, I invite you to take charge of that change that is within yourself. Because we truly, all together and collectively, have the power to change the world.
Mobile and personal communication as such is high on people's priority list. And if you look at their total, the share of their net income, it's like 2 or 3%. So before they give that up, they would give other things up. US, more consumer-centric, very competitive, very marketing-driven. Europe, on the other side, a very difficult market environment for carriers because just too many of them around. But we have a long-term strategy, and the long-term strategy is really to improve our competitiveness in Germany and to grow abroad, because it's very difficult for us to grow in Germany, given the trend, deregulation, and so forth.
Do you think of all the customers of T-Mobile as some kind of social network?
I think T-Mobile customers are part of a huge community, but eventually that community is global and therefore has to be subdivided into a vast number of many small communities, friends, and so forth.
I think technology changes behavior, especially in the younger generation, and you look at the behavior and try to figure out where the attention is, and you move there, rather than trying to force your consumers to fit your technical architecture or your business model. The internet has made it very easy to produce content because computers are getting cheaper, and very easy to distribute content. And I think people like to share. I think that the average person likes to share, and as you look at the younger people, they like to express themselves. You see all the text running along the top? These are comments that people are typing in that get displayed over the music. I want to figure out a way to allow users to share, but also protect the rights of the people who have the rights, and everywhere in between, everything should be legal, everything should be protected.
If you can manage to do the integration between platforms such as devices and the cloud, that's something powerful that a lot of people haven't done.
Young developers suddenly in possession of a huge audience are, at least for a while, and we're certainly in that while, willing to invent new ad types, basically what's known as the new media types. And so you could go into an advertising agency and say, well, even though we're not quite as big as Google or not quite as big as Yahoo, we're willing to work with you and make a really interesting offering for your advertising needs. So long as you have that advantage, you can make real money in advertising.
You know, everything in the end is about packaging, and I do believe that there's a real gap right now between portable devices, which is getting better and better and better, and the cloud-based services, which of course where distribution is free.
Because if you hire people who lack one or the other, you have a problem. It's obvious, right? Smart people who don't do things, people who do things who aren't smart, right? So they all cause various problems. So that's really what we look for, and that's something that bridges software development, legal, corporate development, sales. It's true across the whole company.
Have you been sitting for hours? Just stand up for a second. Just do something loud. Ho, 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 ho. Do so. Ho. Do it. Ho, ho. Can you do ho, ho? Like monkeys or something. Ho, ho, ho.
Have you finished?
Wonderful. That was very good. Now, well, oh yeah, just really good.